Check it out. Check it out. I'm gonna do a review on it. You guys saw the shoot footage of it. It was pretty dark and fucking grainy because the sun was behind us, but yeah, I'm getting my cultural appropriation on, man. Getting the Draco out the hood. You know, so it's something else for these fuckers to cry about. Have fun. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and this is Regular Guy Training. So here's the thing, right? Before we get into the content of the video, first thing, if you guys want a hat from us, obviously you can go get a hat from us. It's in a link in the description below. If other people aren't going to shill for you, you got to do it yourself. Second thing, Matt down at Russian Roulette Clothing has been sending me shirts for like years, and he messaged me the other day and he's like, hey, do you want this new thing that we've got, blah blah blah, it's been a while since I sent something to you. And then I realized and sent him a message right then and there. I was like, yo, I've been like an asshole because I haven't mentioned you once and thrown you out there, because he's just given me shit and never asked for anything else in return. It's been like years now, right? So you guys have seen me wear the fuck out of his shirts, like this shirt. You've seen the tag stamp shirt. You've seen the Statue of Liberty shirt, the blue one, and many other previous videos. I like how his shirts are made. I like how his shirts sit, especially when I'm doing shit out in the sun and that kind of thing, and I need shirts that aren't like easily snagged and that kind of stuff. I like his shirts a lot, so I wear them a lot, and you guys see it. You guys have seen it for years. So, if you want gun guy-esque clothing that isn't straight off the douche canoe, go ahead and check them out. So there you go. But now that the shillery is over with, I'm going to go ahead and talk about this now. Now, like June of 17, I reviewed the Haley D3 Sling. And in that review, I wasn't very favorable toward it. I cited that I was concerned at whether or not it would have any longevity because I was seeing threads come loose on it. I was concerned about how it sat on the body over long periods of time, especially with heavier rifles and that kind of stuff. My wife didn't like it, so that ended up off her gun, and it's on. It had ended up on a lot of other different rifles, just because I needed rifles with slings on them just over time. Since June of 17, it's been to a lot of different classes, actually. It's been a lot of different places all over the country and different type environments, because as a lot of you well know, I travel all over the place, and as a lot of you know also, I attract the worst goddamn weather that region of the country seems to have at that moment. Like during the AK class, we had a wet weather hat trick where it was wind, rain, sleet, and snow same day. That was all on day 3. And then it just rained on us day 2. And the nicest day, we didn't even really go outside, right? It didn't rain at all on day 1 and that kind of shit, right? But point is, though, is that this sling has actually been in a lot of different environments. And there's still like some brown on it. There's still like clay that's kind of embedded into it and that kind of shit now that I'm never getting out. So it's been on a lot of different guns. It's been in a lot of different places. I've worn it for a while. I've worn it on light rifles, and I've worn it on heavier rifles as well. Just as a for instance, I'm getting ready to review this. The evaluation period on this is about done. But this is a Colt M4A1. Obviously, it's a friggin' civilian-only rifle. Okay, it's not a legit M4A1, but it's got all the profiles in it, minus the trigger kit, and an aftermarket Daniel Defense rail up top here. So I'm going to be doing a review on that and the EOTech that's on board. But it's spent a lot of time on this rifle too, which is the heaviest rifle it's sat on for a while. And that was one of my big concerns, was how was it going to do if I put it on a heavier rifle and had to fucking toady about all day with it. I got to tell you right now, all of my concerns, they're not concerns, right? Because in that summer of 2017, I had a few months with it at that point, and I had concerns about it, and I said, we'll come back to it, we'll see what happens. Well, here it is, well over a year and a half later, getting ready to be 2 when fucking June rolls around, and all of my concerns are moot. They don't matter, because this thing has actually done a really good job. Just being able to orient the push pad in a place that it needs to be in. I personally like push pads on slings. They help. And I've had no tearing. I've had no significant issues as far as fraying, any of that. It's been a complete non-factor, right? So I figured I would go ahead and do this sling a little bit of justice, and come out and say, hey, my previous review is a wash because I was wrong as shit about everything I was concerned about, right? So really that's all I have for you guys, and that's really the purpose of these extended reviews in the first place, is that we get a good impression based off of, like, if it's a firearm, a few thousand rounds and that kind of thing, versus like 500 and calling it good or some gay thing like that. We'll get a few thousand rounds in there, and that's like a base, that's an impression. And then later on, when we've got 10, 15 or whatever we end up on it, when there's enough rounds through it to where it's like either it's just not going to die in the format that we've been trying, or something broke. What did it take to break that? Am I still cool with it? You know, and this has been getting the shit used out of it by myself and students, you know, since I reviewed it back in June in 2017. And you know what? I like it. It works pretty good. The only thing that I don't like about it is something kind of inherent in it. And yeah, there are differences. Well, there are like variabilities in this too. I am not a fan of like QD only stuff. It's not just that. I've seen little ball bearings in them get stripped out, and like the tops will pop off on them and then just flips out and dies. We actually had that happen to us during the AK class again. But it's the simple fact that if I have to unhook this thing, it's nowhere near as easy, right? It's nowhere near as easy to get to, especially if I'm trying to move fast, as it is like a simple mash hook where it's just, and it's off. And all of you have fucking done it. Every single one of you have done it, to where you try to get a QD off and you feel retarded because you can't get it like unhooked, and you're sitting there trying to fuck around with it and that kind of thing. But that's just a personal preference, really. This has hung on pretty good. I haven't had any wild issues with it whatsoever, and it's did exactly what its job is, and that's just, you know, it's do lingerie that works. That's all I got. So if you want to come out and train with us, go ahead and train with us. I figured this little update would just kind of jive with what we do here, you know, give you an extended evaluation, blah, blah, blah. And if you want to join us on the Facebook page, if you want to support us through Patreon so we can help train up soldiers and that kind of thing, if you want to train with us for really cheap, you know, we do the $35 a month program because I like to run my school very similar to a fighting gym, right? To where there's no fighting gym ever that'll charge you $1,000 over the course of 4 days to go get balled up each time you do it. You know, if you go long term, they go for the gym membership so you can come through and get rolled up and get developed and that kind of thing. So if you want to do that, it's a much cheaper route to go, and I highly suggest that you go ahead and do it. The faggot sitting behind this camera has taken like, what, 10 classes from me, and he's been paying $35 a month like the whole time?
Yep.
Okay, the whole time. So just making life easier for guys that are dedicated and want to come out and do this and develop, versus having to kill themselves trying to come out to just 2-day classes and that kind of thing. So, is what it is. And remember, regular guy's firearm is the last defense against tyranny. Be easy.